Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Hangout, episode 4. Wow, guys, I cannot believe that this channel right now it's all cylinders, my dudes. It's all cylinders, and we've come in straight hot out of the oven of what was an incredible episode 2022 of Company of Gamers. And we're kind of following on. This is almost like a part 2, a spiritual successor to episode 22. For those who don't know, episode 22 was all about the acquisition. Go figure. It's a huge news. The acquisition of Activision. And I'm sure you all agree that shit's nuts. We discussed a lot, but there were, because it was such a big panel, there were things that weren't discussed that I really wanted to cover, and I know that Zuby and Faulkner really wanted to get off their chest to cover as well. So this hangout is a much more chilled, informal, kind of more intimate sit down and talk, where we get into a meaty, deep discussion that's just different from a traditional podcast because there's fewer people on the panel. There's more time for a person to be able to fully articulate their thoughts, fully convey what they want to talk about. And I'm sure you guys are going to really get a lot from this as much as we are. I'm certainly going to get a lot from this, as I really do rate these two very special guests that we have tonight. A shout out to all of you in the panel, in the chat. It's just, wow, already 17 watching. It's gonna get higher and higher, and I know for a fact that tonight's gonna be epic. Please share this out. I'm gonna post the link here in the chat. Let people know that we're live, for those who are on Twitter or however you want to share it out, because you do not want to miss tonight, fam. For those who don't know the guests, I'm very surprised if you don't, but if you don't know the guests, we have David Faulkner, who is both a panel member of the Company of Gamers podcast. He's our latest acquisition. Company of Gamers snatched him up, and we just didn't want to let him go, because David Faulkner has a huge amount of expertise in all things financial analysis, and as a hobby, he likes to analyze the financial market and basically the entire gaming industry. He likes to keep eyes on the logistics of how things are going. But I don't want to speak for the guy. I'll let him introduce himself. We also have Zuby Tech, and he is a insider of the industry. Now, he would deny that because he's humble as ever, but he knows things that we don't, and that makes him basically an insider, whether he likes to accept that title or not. He is a source of credible information, and also he is very highly esteemed and followed by so many people, it's ridiculous, including many of the heads at PlayStation, which is just a cool thing I'm sure he's pretty proud of. He's just hit 6,000 followers on Twitter. He hit like 5,000 only a month ago, so 1,000 followers in a month on Twitter is like... It's pretty unheard of, to be fair. It's pretty amazing. So, huge congratulations to these two awesome guys. I'd like to introduce you guys. Let them introduce themselves to you. So let's get on with the show. David, how are you, my dude?
Doing well, mate. How are you? Going all right?
I'm still on cloud 9 from Saturday, bro. It was an awesome episode.
That was great. It was great. The bloody internet was giving me the grief, so I'll tell you.
It was giving me the grief as well. I've changed my bit rate, so I'm hoping that it's more stable. Let me know, guys, how it goes in the chat. If it hits the red, I'll change it yet again on the next one and hope that works. It's very trial and error, I'm afraid. I'm also going to get gameplay up for you guys, so don't worry about that. But carry on, sorry, David.
Wait. Nah, all good, mate, all good. So as Woolie's given a bit of an intro, my background is in finance, corporate finance, done a lot of work for some big top 10 companies, spent a lot of time working with them. And my area of expertise is around mainly cost control and budget performance, etc., but also advising senior management on deals to do and deals not to do and how to make more money and how not to lose money. So, I've been a passionate gamer since 94, 95. Started out on the cartridges on a Sega Mega Drive and just gone from there. But yeah, there's parts about the industry and the business, gaming particularly, because I've got a passion for it, but other businesses I keep an eye on as well. But yeah, some of the stuff that happens is it's too much fun for me to just cast my eyes over it, and I enjoy talking about it. So yeah, here we are. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on indeed. And last but by no means least, my good brother and friend, Zubitech. How are you, my dude?
Good, really. Hope you're good, and sort of same to David.
Yeah, mate. We're awesome. I'm awesome. I'm just honoured to have you guys here tonight. This to do this stream with you guys is awesome. I know this is a subject quite close to your heart, Zuby.
Yeah.
As you're a huge, massive Call of Duty fan, right?
Yeah.
It's like your favorite IP ever.
Yeah. Definitely.
I saw your statistics. You did that. You tweeted out that time played, and it's like it's your most played game of 2021. Is it?
Yeah. It's 2021. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for those, unless you've been living under a rock. Oh, and by the way, shout out to where are you? You're here somewhere in the chat. I'm hunting you down. Scott Rayner, you've been waiting for this podcast since the acquisition was announced. That's awesome, my dude. This is actually part 2. We had a podcast on Saturday discussing a lot about this acquisition in depth, so you might want to check that out as well. But definitely stay for this. I'm not telling you to get lost by any means. Stay. But if you want to hear more from Zuby and Faulkner and the rest of the panel as well, definitely check out the last video on my channel before this, where we have a very lengthy discussion about this. But yeah, it's awesome that you're here listening in. So sorry, Zuby, carry on. So you love Call of Duty. So unless people have been living under a rock and don't know, Call of Duty is now owned by Xbox, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to put into words because like I've had it since the first like release on PlayStation 2, and I've played it on every PlayStation system, and it's probably the handful of IPs that have graced almost every PlayStation system. Like it was on the PlayStation VR, it was on the PS2, PS3, PS4, obviously now PS5 as well. So it's I don't think people realize, like, to me, in my view, like that 70 billion figure alone, that's how much the Call of Duty IP is worth, in my opinion. Like, that's how big it is. People don't realize, like, year after year, you can criticize it, whatever, skin, this and that, but I'm sorry, you gotta, like, honor the devs here as well. Like, to do this year in, year out, polished, co-op, a mode, zombies, campaign, like a whole multiplayer IP every year is so difficult. No one, in my opinion, no one has reached that level. Like, it gets criticized year in, year out, but it's number one. So, like, I think the hardcore sometimes they're too harsh on the IP. Like, you gotta give credit where it's due. Like Activision, like even Vanguard, yeah, the sales are down, but it's still number one. Like, you saw the MPD report, it jumped straight to number one. So you can't like you have to see the facts. And yeah, it's down in certain markets like the UK. It was down 36%, but sometimes it's the genre, not the actual like game, like the Call of Duty name. So in my opinion, like it's such a big IP. I just wanted to touch before like I get into the whole Call of Duty IP is just like the 70 billion figure. Like just want to talk about like why it happened. And yeah, in my opinion, like obviously Activision Blizzard, they were losing so much money, they had to like put a stopgap to it because they had the lawsuit, the government, the state, it's all pressure all around, and billionaires and CEOs, they don't want to lose money. Like, I've personally worked with so many CEOs from different companies. I know how like they operate. Like, they're very cutthroat. They want results after result. Is very like results driven like that. If you work in that environment, so like, in my opinion, like why Activision sold is clear. Like, is because they were losing so much money. It was unbelievable. Microsoft paid what, 18.7 above their market cap. Like, that's just crazy. Like, above their market cap, more than they're worth. In my opinion, like, Bobby, he got away with it. Like, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
He really is. He's laughing all the way to court, mate. He's not even worried.
Yeah, even Colin Moriarty, he even said like he got a golden parachute. Like, no one's talking about this. Like, he got a huge payout from Microsoft. No, nothing. Now all this is Microsoft's problem. This is not his problem anymore. He doesn't care. He's gonna get his payout and leave. And like, no one's talking about this. Like, why the deal happened. Like, to take the biggest third party publisher with the huge IP, like console gaming has never, in my opinion, like, it's even bigger than Fortnite. Like, it's never graced this, like, such a big IP like Call of Duty. Year in year out is number one. Like, and consistently for like since 2009. How many years is that to be number one? Extremely difficult. But yeah, that's one point I really thought, like, no one's really talking about why it happened. And now is Microsoft's problem. We saw with the Bethesda deal, that 6 billion, it got raised to like 8.1 after the taxes and all the regulations. So the actual transaction was 8.1 billion. Mm-hmm. So imagine how much this will rise to. Will it go over like 75 billion, 80 billion? Like, no one's talking about that. I know Microsoft's got money, but that is the point. Like David knows, you got to be precise on the figures. Like, so it's just crazy amount of money. And the second thing is, like, this is such a huge tech acquisition. Like, it's Microsoft's like biggest. Like, that's unheard of. Like that would never happen. Like 10 years ago, like Microsoft spending on a software company that much money. Like, it will never happen. But like, and even in terms of the tech, like the latest one I think was AMD. They bought Geonix for about 33 billion. That was the recent one. So look at the comparison, like, in terms of money, how big the deal is. Like, this is people think this is another thing, is people think that this deal is done. Like, I'm telling you now, is far from done. People are talking about like Call of Duty is Microsoft. This deal is way far from done. Yeah, Microsoft have gave the letter of intent for them to be acquired, but trust me, I'm telling you now, like, even Microsoft's last acquisition attempt, like huge one, was TikTok, and that got denied. Wow. So
they really are trying, aren't they? They're fishing.
Yeah, we must be careful here. Like, this deal is not done. It's a long way to go. Like now is when the work starts. Like, so Microsoft operate in a different way. They like to announce as soon as they give the letter of intent. Sony do it the opposite way. They sign, done, deal, you're ours. Now you can start making games for us. Your IP is my IP. Your people are my people. So that's how Sony operates.
Guys, I'm really flipping
exactly.
it. The stream is still hold on. Guys, for those watching, the stream is still bugging out. There is something wrong with OBS. Every 25 to 30 seconds, the internet dips, and it's not as bad on playback, but live it can be a bit frustrating. I really apologize. Just let me get that out of the way right now. I'm really sorry for the times that it bugs out. I'm going to probably be switching away from OBS, and I'm going to start using StreamYard at this point, because just nothing seems to be fixing this issue. But if you can just rock with us tonight and bear with us, please know it's deeply appreciated. Carry on. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I said, like the deal is far from done. Like the real work starts now. Like the deal is expected to close next year, but who knows if the deal happens. Like I've just sent you a DM, Willie. I don't know if you know, read it. Like is President Biden, so is it's not looking.
Okay. Let's read
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's quite. It's better if you reading it.
That's the executive order that he signed last night, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is this in response, direct response to the Activision purchase? No. Oh, it's just strange timing.
No, this executive order's been in the works for a couple of months. Read it out, and then I'll chip in afterwards with my thought on it.
Buck Rogers says many podcasters have been having this problem lately with OBS. Thank you, Buck. That's great to know. It's not just me. I will be sorting this. I promise. I'm not going to tolerate this indefinitely. I promise. But yeah, this is the executive order Zuby's asked me to read out. Been in the works for a while now. Apparently, in too many industries, a handful of giant companies dominate the market rather than competing for consumers. They're consuming their competitors. My executive order on competition is changing that. It included 72 actions to help lower prices and improve options for consumers. Well, that sounds positive, but what does it involve?
Yeah, it's like I know the antitrust, like that's a huge thing as well, but this obviously, like, business is business, and if it gets done, I'm not saying that it's not going to get done, but at the moment, like, Activision Blizzard is not Microsoft, so just carry on with that until it closes. I think people are jumping ahead too quick. Tread very carefully.
Yeah, in what way, Zuby? What do you mean by tread carefully? Help me understand.
Yeah, so the deal might not get done. So like, it can happen. Like I just said to you, like the TikTok Microsoft was. I think I don't know how much it was, but that was such a huge acquisition. Got denied. So like that's my point of view. Yeah.
When did
no, it's.
Go on, sorry, David.
No, you ask your question. It's all good.
I was going to say, when did Microsoft try to acquire TikTok?
I think it was about...
When?
Pardon?
It was 2020 when Trump threatened to ban it out of the US.
Yeah.
The local part of TikTok was potentially going to get banned, and the value of it tanked.
Oh shit!
And it came down to basically Microsoft was trying to buy it, and then it got blocked because they already had Mixer and someone else at the time. So they were trying to buy Discord and Mixer at the same time as trying to buy TikTok. And
they're so freaking greedy, aren't they? It's ridiculous.
Well, he got knocked on the head because Facebook and Twitter put their hands up and said, hang on a minute, you can't have it. What about us? And of course, in America, if you complain about a competitor, usually it stops the deal.
It does, like the cloud deal as well from Amazon and Microsoft. Yeah. That was Microsoft's, and then Microsoft's, and then Amazon came in. Wow. And it basically it stopped the deal as well. So, like I said, like the amount of money that's in play is going to take a long time. Like, we should be careful. Like, nothing's for certain. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the legal fees alone are going to be in the billions, just to try and lobby the thing through. And there's no guarantee it'll get through. All it'll take is one senator to get the shits with Microsoft and say, you know what? No, I don't like this. And all of a sudden, it'll get knocked on the head.
Yeah.
And to announce such a huge, I can understand why they did it. They announced a huge deal. It arrested the share price of Activision, and it gave Microsoft a bump for the rest of that week, and it caused a reaction on Sony's share price.
Yep.
But then a week later, Microsoft's share price is going down when everyone realizes what it means. Activision's share price started to plateau. It didn't respond well, and Sony was back up to where it was within a week. So Bobby made, I think we worked it out, that Bobby was stood to make like $430 million just out of the announcement occurring. So, you know, by the time it gets paid out and sold, and again, we don't know what they call it the consideration for transfer. We don't know whether it's just straight cash being paid or whether it's a share swap arrangement, whether it's a debt acquisition arrangement, what it is.
I think
it's worth...
Yeah, I think Satya said it was cash.
Yeah. So if it's cash, then you're looking at, by the time they wrap that deal up, if it goes through, it'll take 18 months to 2 years to sort it out because it's quite complex. And, you know, there's huge different shareholders and all that other stuff to consider, contracts to review, IP entitlements, licensing fees, like the works, man. The accounting and legal sections are going to probably charge them close to $10 billion.
Exactly.
We're talking teams of thousands of people just to get the deal through, including lobbyists and all the rest of it, man. By the time they're done, they'll have splashed huge amounts. But, you know, the difference is they spend $75, $78 billion to get it done. None of that hits their P&L. That all goes as investment.
Yeah.
So then they're not having to recover on investment of 70. They're recovering on investment of 80. So that changes a lot of dynamics too.
Yeah. Even if the deal doesn't go through, Microsoft gives Activision about $3 billion.
Easy.
That's what they promised. So even if it doesn't go through, that's going Activision's way.
And that would be $3 billion plus what it'll cost to pay out Bobby.
Exactly.
That's just crazy, guys.
That's if you step back. I think it's, and Zuby, jump in here if I've got my timing wrong, because I'm trying to remember it. 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was just after they had all that issue with the Xbox One when I think Phil took over, or just as Phil was taking over. They tried to buy Activision then, and Bobby kept saying, no, bugger off, I'm not interested. And every 18 months, basically since then, they've just knocked on the door and said, do you want to sell it yet? Do you want to sell it yet? And Bobby kept saying, no, piss off, I'm not interested. And then they had the first issue with Activision and all those claims of, you know, not a great place to work. Bobby thought he could withstand it. Then you had all the shit that happened at the back end of last year, and all of a sudden there's talk of QA testers unionizing, and American companies hate that. There's talk of people on strike, there's rolling strikes, you know, it's causing massive issues, and then the share price starts to tank. And all of a sudden the share price goes down $30 billion in value. Next thing you know, there's the phone call between Bobby and Phil, and it's like, yeah, I'm ready to sell it now. How much are you going to pay me to get out of it? So he basically just rang up and said, you give me $1 billion and a half dollars and you pay for all the expenses and I'll piss off and you can have the rest.
Exactly.
So, you know, and that's, people say, oh, this come out of nowhere. Like, this didn't come out of nowhere. Microsoft's been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah.
They overpaid big time on the market cap, but then the market, I had a conversation with someone on Twitter about this, and they work the share market a lot more than I do, but I understand how business movements can impact on share price, right? So the value of a company based on their market cap is not just their assets and their cash in the bank. It's also what the value of what they're doing is perceived to be, plus, you know, contracts and negotiation stuff coming down the pipeline and potential earnings and all the rest of that stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts with it. But if you're sitting with a CEO who refuses to step aside, who can't fix the problem because it's been there for so long, who's got got enough shareholdings to block any kind of action from the board against him,
Exactly.
like, what are you going to do? What are your choices? The share price then starts to tank because no one wants to be involved with the thing. You drop $30 billion in 6 months out of any company's share price, and you're looking at, you know, serious questions about the viability of the company.
100%.
If I've seen companies that are market caps of $100 billion, they lose $10 billion, and next thing, the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, a whole freaking executive is basically given their marching orders and have all their share options stripped back off them with no payout because they fail to meet performance targets. All of a sudden, there's an entire new executive brought in within 12 months, and the company takes a big change of direction. They never could do that with Activision because Bobby was a shareholder with enough power to stop that from happening. So he basically had control over his bosses on the board to do whatever he liked.
Yep.
So
you told me, Zuby, he has high friends in high places.
Yep.
In your words. That's true, money talks.
Like Zuby was saying before, it's Microsoft's problem now because, I shouldn't say it's their problem now. If the deal goes through, it will be Microsoft's problem. If the deal doesn't go through, the share market cap's going to tank even further because they haven't named a succession plan for Bobby. Yeah, whichever way this ends up, if it's a failed, if he's the CEO, Bobby's the CEO of a failed acquisition, that is almost in 99 out of 100 cases in American run companies. If you fail to get the company sold, you're out and you're never getting back in. Doesn't matter who you are, he'll be gone. There's even his shareholding way and his mates in high places will not save him because he's trying to cut a deal where the shareholders, it's not just him, but everyone else, where the shareholders are going to get 33% more than what they're currently worth.
That's insane.
And who paid it? The deal there must have been a price worked out back in June or July last year when it was pretty close to that. Their market cap was pretty close to that because the thing's tanked in September. So, and as I said, the guy that I was chatting to on Twitter about it, I said, how can you justify paying that much for something where its market cap is so low? And he said, well, they must have, they're looking at what the actual value of it is. And I said, yeah, but I would have just done the hostile takeover route, chased after the shareholders and not paid that much freaking money. Get 51% and then you've got controlling stake in it and you just tell the rest of them that you're going to buy them out at whatever the market value is plus 2 or 3%. They'll sell them because they don't want to see the value disappear. So, yeah, it's a deal for a mate. It stinks like a deal for a mate.
It does.
Phil's bailing out Bobby, and Bobby's going to get a massive handshake for it. Phil's going to look like a friggin' hero. And a lot of his fans are saying, "Oh, he's the greatest, he's the best, he's this, he's that." I can't see how, if you're a shareholder in Microsoft, looking at all the different business lines that they have, where pumping $70 or $80 billion into this deal is a good idea. It's just, and if you're happy enough for me, I'll circle back to the Call of Duty piece and touch back on that, like Zuby was talking about at the start.
I know Zuby wants to get his teeth into that as well. So, yeah, go back to the Call of Duty part, bro. And
you're happy to circle back to that one, Zoo?
Yeah, 100%.
Call of Duty's been number one for whatever many years it is, right? And it sells across all platforms. You look at the revenue for Activision Blizzard, and Call of Duty sits at the top by a long way.
100%.
Activision.
No one even talks about that. Like it's so high. Like the in the UK it drops 36%. That's how high it is. Like 36% is still enormous.
It's giant. It's huge. It's basically what they hinge the entire freaking company off at the moment. Yeah,
exactly. That's true as well.
We've had a couple of we've had a couple of crash games. We've had a couple of other, I shouldn't say smaller titles because they're all decent titles. They've got huge amounts of IP there. As a publishing house, they make more money They make more money as a third-party publishing house for teams that aren't theirs than what they do out of most of their own in-house made IP, with the exception of Call of Duty. They've got 3 dev houses working on Call of Duty, so they get 3 years to make another game, which is why, and I've used the term, they're lazy. And I don't mean the developers aren't working hard. I mean it's a lazy business practice where you just put a couple of little things, minute changes, you pump out the same thing every time. It's Call of Duty sits so far above everything else that company does that if it has a failure, the company has a catastrophic event, right? Mm-hmm. 20 or 30% reduction in their volume sales is is big numbers, but the numbers are that big to start with that it's not putting them in a terminal position. But the size of the money involved in it's pretty substantial. But then if, like I did, you go and look at their financial reports and their financial performance and all that, they're an $8 billion annual revenue stream, right?
Yep.
More than half of that comes from Call of Duty.
Yep.
Their net operating profit's only half of 500 million, 600 million. So they are pumping huge amounts of money into stuff that aren't generating massive returns, right?
Yep.
But you got to also remember, like we discussed the other day, Sony kicks in 100 million plus every year to get Call of Duty built and finished, and they kick in a huge amounts of their production crew in to make sure that it's a presentable and decent sort of game. And I mean, even the Sony standards, I don't think it's up to Sony standards, but they're only going to contribute so much, right? They're not going to make a third-party game look like their first-party spit and polish stuff, even a game as big as Call of Duty, because they churn them out. They're serialized. They churn them out so much. Sony kicks in $100 million to build it, every single one of them, every year, and then they kick in about 150 million to 200 million to market the thing. So there's huge amounts of money involved in getting the thing out and people playing it, and that's offsetting in their financials for Activision. When the thing goes and there's contracts involved and all that sort of stuff with it, will be here and will be marketed and all that on PlayStation and PC and all the rest of it. When the thing goes, and I believe it will have to, because if you're a shareholder at Microsoft or a senior manager at Microsoft and it doesn't, you'd be asking questions. When Call of Duty goes into Game Pass and becomes an Xbox exclusive, and I dare say be a Game Pass exclusive by then, we're looking at 2023, 2024 at the earliest, just based on the contracts, assuming this deal goes through. Microsoft is not going to get $8 million a year in revenue out of this deal like they've just acquired the company and they'll let it continue doing what it's doing. If they chuck everything day one in Game Pass and keep selling the thing for $1 or $2 or $15 or whatever they have, they're going to tank the revenue that they could be getting down to bugger all, because they just don't have the stuff. It's like 25 million subscribers paying $1 a month.
So
versus this, the 300 million it generates in the first month of sales when it's out on PlayStation.
Faulkner, for structural purposes, that's going into how can Call of Duty be successful for Microsoft? I'm guessing, right? That's kind of the direction you're taking this, which I really want us to talk about.
Yep.
Am I wrong on that?
No. Yes.
So
it is a direction that it can go, but I'm going to stop there because I want to maintain the conversation on.
Thank you. No, yeah. So if you could hold that, and we will definitely go in that direction at some point. But I do want to cover. First of all, I've got a little list here, and it's largely thanks to you and Zuby. But I want to touch on, first of all, the exclusive. How is COD being now technically? Could it if it is like an exclusive, which it won't be until at least like 2024, 2025, right?
Yeah.
How would that impact Xbox? Well, we'll talk on that in a minute, but first of all, how would this impact PlayStation? I think that's what people would like to know as well. Like, is the loss? Will they lose COD eventually once the contractual agreements expire? And if so, does the loss of Call of Duty's dominant player base, which is kind of those who only tend to play Call of Duty, like the Zuby techs. I'm joking. Sorry, bro. I had to
it's fine.
Little dig in there. Yeah, those casual players like Zuby tech. How if Call of Duty, if PlayStation loses them over, will they lose players over to Xbox because all they play is Call of Duty? And if so, will that have a big impact on Sony? Will we be seeing Zubitech posting Xbox-centric content on Twitter from now on? And would Sony be impacted severely? And are they already impacted severely? We know there's console constraints, there's like console supply constraints, and there's an ever-decreasing Call of Duty console player base. So how will Sony counter this? Will they be severely affected and impacted? Is PlayStation going to be dead as a result? I'd love your guys' thoughts. I mean, I don't know whether Zuby you want to start on this or whether Faulkner.
Zuby can go first.
Yeah. So let's just get the numbers out of the way first. Like, the last quarter Activision had on just Call of Duty based alone. So Cold War and Vanguard. Not Vanguard. The last two iterations of Call of Duty. Sorry. And that had 119 monthly active users just on the Call of Duty IP alone.
119 million.
119 million in one quarter.
Holy shit!
That's a big number in the first place. So, second is the fact is Call of Duty sells best on PlayStation. That's been for a number of years. Like, it's always number one on PlayStation. It sells the best on PlayStation. So those, like, in terms of like the way I see it hurting Sony, like even just the name like Call of Duty is, to me, is like it's so precious and it's so big. Like in my eyes, like
it outsells the PC player base, right? On PlayStation.
Yeah. Like it's a huge revenue driver for the PlayStation Store. That's a fact. Like the battle passes, it's not even just like the game. Like it's got battle passes, microtransactions. People always forget about that. Like when it's a company's financials, those are always included. The microtransactions, everything. So that's really important to remember. Like,
wow.
As well. So for me, like taking Call of Duty out of that store, like it will hit PlayStation Store like hard. Like, in my opinion, like the Call of Duty IP is gone from PlayStation. As soon as that contract ends, it is gone. Like,
Yes.
what's desire? Yes or no? There is no desire. You're gonna remove it or not? Yeah, we all know like these fancy words these executives use, but if you're gonna remove it, say you're gonna remove it. But we know why he's saying that. He said the same with the Bethesda deal when it was going on, and now he's doing the same thing.
You're not wrong. So do you think they would rather forfeit the sales of 40 million, like 40%? Sorry, the 40% of the sales over. To me,
yeah. To me, it's like you're lying either way. Like, because Microsoft want to reach billions of gamers. You can't do that without PlayStation. There's no way. Like, PlayStation has an enormous footprint, especially in Europe. People don't realize how dominant PlayStation is. It's known throughout Europe, every country. Like, majority of the countries, PlayStation, they have like 60 to 80% market share in some of these countries. It's all theirs. People don't realize how PlayStation is so dominant. And then when you have this big IP like Call of Duty attached with PlayStation, it just fuels it. Then you got a FIFA partnership, but that's a different story. But yeah, like 119 million active users, like that would tank.
So why would Xbox remove it then? That's the question. Why would they?
Yeah, if they remove it, then Microsoft's lying, because they won't reach billions of gamers wherever they are, on wherever device.
So do you think they will remove it or not?
To be honest, from what you said, from that statement, to me, Call of Duty is going after the contract ends. But that's just my opinion. Yep. Like I don't see it. But then, like,
it doesn't make business sense to you that they would. But
yeah,
do you think they are going to?
Yeah, and even this, like, Microsoft acquiring Activision, like this number, I think it's around 400 million, like altogether, all Activision Blizzard games. They have like 400 million monthly active users. So even that, like, if you remove PlayStation from that, like, that number would tank as well. So it's like, what are you trying to do here? Like, are you going to remove the games? Because, like I said, it's the biggest third-party publisher, and you're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna remove all of the games, but if you remove some of them, then that's a huge impact, like, on Activision's bottom line as well. So it affects Activision, Blizzard, PlayStation as well, and then we all know Microsoft they can tank it, and they will still survive. So to Microsoft is basically the ball's in their court, in my opinion. Like it's all up to them what they do with it. Like I can't say like that it will be gone forever, but in my opinion, like Call of Duty after it's gone is gone. Like after the contract ends. But
I mean, by the way,
agree.
I just want to assure both of you that this isn't a podcast. This is more of a conversation. So anytime you want to just come in, David or Zuby, when one another is talking and it just flow like you're having a conversation, do
100%.
that. Okay. So don't think it's super formal or anything like that. But go on, David. Sorry, bro. You were.
That's all right. I really enjoy hearing his points. Look, you wouldn't spend that kind of money if you weren't trying to do something with it.
Exactly.
You're going to spend that kind of money as soon as the contract's done. It's off the next. But I don't think Microsoft would go, well, as soon as that contract's done, we're going to yank the whole lot off PlayStation. What's the sense in pulling off games that have already been released there? If you want to do that, that's great, but you're not losing any revenue by having historical things sit there. Saying like with the Bethesda stuff, there is still Bethesda games in the PS Plus collection when you buy a PS5.
Yeah.
There's no sense in pulling them out of there because they're just losing money. Even
PlayStation now.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense to say, hey, all this stuff that was available is now no longer available because we want to put it into Game Pass. It's already in Game Pass. It's stupid. Anyway, just wanted to clarify something you said, Zuby, about the monthly active users and the player base. You were referring to Call of Duty's monthly active users and player base, yeah? Not PlayStation's?
Yeah, that's as a whole Activision Blizzard's for Call of Duty.
Yeah. So I agree with 99% of what Zuby's saying. The only point that I would differ on is to say that when Call of Duty, I'll say when because it would be an assumption, like we assume the deal's going to go through and we assume the contract's going to end.
Yeah.
When Call of Duty goes exclusive to Xbox and it'll be day and date on Game Pass just about for certain, that gives Sony a couple of years to prepare for it. Now,
exactly.
With Call of Duty leaving PlayStation,
I was saying the same thing on Saturday. I was saying this gives Sony quite a lot of. I think Microsoft have dealt Sony a lot of cards that they didn't even know they had in a way, because they've given crazy advance notice with this move because it's yet another long term, and I mean long ass term, right? Before results happen, and with this deal, and so that poses problems with Microsoft because they've basically painted a big red fat target on their back, and they're crawling to the finish line, and they've given this and they've given the hair behind them a shitload of advance notice, as well as the entire industry notice of what Microsoft's ultimate goal is, and the whole industry has woken up to it now. So, sorry, mate, carry on.
Exactly.
And for what? And for what, Faulkner? Money that they don't even need. I mean, what's 10 billion Activision's yearly raking at best?
Exactly that.
To Microsoft. To Microsoft, a multi-trillion company.
You're spot on. So if they take away the player base, that will tank the monthly active users because that's what they're after, engagement.
Yeah, exactly. And look,
so weird.
You take it off. How reliant? I've got a million points I can make about this. I'll start here. When it goes exclusive to Xbox, there's two things that Microsoft will be on their knees and praying to multiple different deities that happen. One, the monthly active users come with the game. Two, that they don't just come with the game, that they actually come, that not just some of them come with the game, that all of them come with the game. Now, how much do you think is going to happen in terms of output for marketing and game development is going to come from Xbox when Sony stopped paying $250 million a year, $250 million a year to get the thing off the ground to generate a return? Remember, Sony sell the thing millions and millions and millions of copies at full price, and they sell heaps of the add-on stuff at full price. The thing's hardly ever on sale if you get the new one. How much money are they leaving on the table and going to miss out on when they bang it into Game Pass? They're going to drop bucket loads of cash and miss out on bucket loads of cash because they're devaluing the thing back to basically it's worth nothing. It might as well be all free to play.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And what? How many monthly active users are going to come with it?
Not that number.
Casuals that only play COD go, well, if that's exactly, if all the casuals go only play COD, I've been doing it on PlayStation, and now they want me to go and do it on Game Pass. Well, shit. I mean, do I buy a Series S or do I just get Game Pass on my computer and go and play it on my computer? It's not like they're going to get that huge monthly active user base to move with them. Why would they?
Yeah, that would never happen straight away. It will happen over time. It would happen over time. It will never happen immediately.
Yeah. So, and then if you look at the dollar side of it, right? I think I ran this through on the other day on the podcast. Sony are kicking in, $250 million of their own cash to bring this thing out to make millions and millions of dollars off it, right? But Sony only take, for all the game sold, Sony only take 30% whack plus whatever other is in the background when they sell the thing through the store. And based off the last couple of games, they're talking $350 to $450 million in a year that Sony's getting back out of their investment, right? So they're doubling their return on investment's over 100%. That's really good. But the net impact is they get $450 back, they shell out $250. It's not exactly needed to sell consoles at the moment because they can't keep up with the demand. So the loss on the console, for a net $200 million per year of revenue that they have to find once Call of Duty's off the platform, they're not going to have a massive drop in console sales. Remember, Sony and PlayStation are a hardware manufacturing company. Their main goal, their bread and butter, is to sell hardware, generate demand and sell hardware. The whole gaming section of it is designed purely to facilitate the selling of that hardware. They limited in supply, so it's not going to have that 5, 8 or 10 million unit impact that all of a sudden Sony's not going to be able to sell those consoles because they're all going to go and buy Xboxes because the supply is so constrained at the moment. In 2 or 3 years' time, that's not going to help Xbox at all in terms of console sales. So the whole thing is irrelevant for the console argument. It's not going to have an impact there.
Yeah.
And you're looking just at pulling users into Game Pass. They did this to pull users into Game Pass.
Yeah.
I just,
and
by the time
in that sense, it's a gamble. In that sense, it's a gamble, and in the process, they've alienated some of the industry. Exactly. They might hurt the IP as well.
As a Call of Duty lover, that could hurt the franchise. In my view, I don't want to see COD gone. To me, it's so good, but obviously, I understand that your guys' opinion. That's fine. But
do you want Call of Duty to go the Halo Infinite route, where it releases half baked as a gas service?
Exactly, and no disrespect, Call of Duty making this much money is good for the industry. I'm sorry to say it, but to take in that money, why is the games industry worth that much? Yeah, it's partly due to Call of Duty. That's how big it is.
Yeah, and when you shrink that revenue stream, and it's across not just this isn't going to hurt one company. The risk, and it's a very real risk, that Microsoft fucked this up, and the quality drops out of the arse of it. That the casual gamers, that the Call of Duty gamers who are 50-50, and the ones that are screaming, we want the quality back in this thing. Give us something better, give us something more evolved. If they decide that, well, you know what, PlayStation isn't involved in this thing anymore, I'll wait and see how it comes out, but they're probably saying, I haven't got a lot of faith that it's going to improve under Xbox. Mm-hmm. It's going to, what am I going to do to kick in another $400 to be able to play my favourite game again? No, Microsoft, you can go fuck off. I'm not interested in that.
And then you've got if they only get the Sony side, right? I mean, when you think about this, both mindshare among developers and goodwill, and also, mindshare among players. It's a powerful freaking thing, right? And look at Akira was absolutely beyond gobsmacked about it 2 days ago. Kenshi, I can't remember his surname. He's the most popular singer in Asia, not just Japan. mean, he's pretty much a god to them. He's bigger than Michael Jackson was in the West. I mean, that's his claim anyway. So when he sings, the nation listens, and he's got more views on YouTube than there is numbers of people in Japan. And yet, with that being said, he's just debuted his next song, which it sounds freaking amazing, by the way. I've been listening to a bit of his music. It's extremely. The only way I can describe it is he's quite like Queen in the sense that he has a lot of classical training, and every song sounds very different from the next one. He could go from like heavy metal vibes to almost like a children's anthem you get the idea. He's very unique, and he's very stylish and charismatic and stuff. Well, anyway, his next song is debuted as a PlayStation advert. PlayStation he's literally sponsoring PlayStation. He has a DualSense in his hand, and he's walking through this massive gate, and greatness awaits, and all that shit. Now that is enormous. They're attacking the Japanese market. They're attacking Asia. And they have things to show in that case that we don't know about, because they wouldn't attack a market with nothing to show. Now, there's a lot of ignorant motherfuckers, I'll say it, right? There's a lot of ignorant motherfuckers out there who seem to think that Sony has nothing in the works. I mean, Zuby, I praise your work always. I stan you, bro. Like, you release these posters with all this information consolidated for us all to see and all to like gush at, and there's only 3 games announced after 2022. Only 3. Every other announcement from PlayStation or PlayStation related second party and first party game studios, their projects are scheduled for a 2022 release, but there are only 3 games that have been revealed that are scheduled for after 2022, meaning that there are a crazy number of games announced that we don't know about. There is a crazy amount of games unannounced that we don't know about, that we will learn about relatively soon, that will be coming in 2023. And I just want to read this little post. It was in Discord on the Company of Gamers main Discord. Check that out. Feel free to join. I'll drop a link in a second. But I was asked by Johnny, shout out to him, he's probably listening in, he's a fan of the show. What's good, Johnny? He asked, I have a personal question within Microsoft and MS and Xbox, how do you really feel about it? And I put, in response to your question, I see them lapping up revenue from these cash cows. I'm thinking Call of Duty and Candy Crush and all that shit, right? And keeping them as they are for the most part, at least for the next couple of years, whilst obviously they've got all that paperwork to deal with and all the contractual agreements to honour. But then I said to him, Microsoft have basically just risked their reputation and goodwill for idle income that they don't even need, right? Yes. And in a way, it's a gamble, not in terms of money, because it's all money that they can throw away. 70 billion is nothing to Microsoft, right? They're a multi-trillion dollar company, but it's a risk in another way. While Sony have the advantage of both time and talent, because of this deal, they have years of notice. Because whilst Microsoft is spending years seeing this purchase through, honouring their contractual agreements and deciding what old IPs to bring back versus just milking the dominant cash cows, Sony are there on full speed towards what's going to probably be an even better 2023 than 2022, even with even more aggressive pursuing of partnerships in response to Microsoft. So Microsoft have probably, if anything, burnt the cow on the ass, and now Daisy means business, right? Daisy's going to town, right?
Yeah.
She's already, Sony were already on full speed, but they were already very aggressive. But now I think even more so. But they're not going to be aggressive for cash cows. Lazy gaming. I mean, let's admit it, Zuby. Call of Duty is one of the most popular shooter on the planet. It's extremely good for the industry, but it is a bit lazy at times. Like, they are keeping things extremely the same and just reskinning it over and over, at least in my opinion. I don't want to insult your favorite game, bro, but it's how I feel. It's more of a cash cow than an innovation. They're not trying to up the ante with each iteration.
I agree with that. Like it's not anything new, but
yeah. But don't broke what doesn't need fixing, right? Oh, sorry. What? I said that wrong.
It's got the.
It sounded right.
Yeah, it sounded right.
Don't broke what doesn't need fixing. That makes no sense. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Sony are pursuing aggressively AAA games, whilst working on right now half a dozen multiplayer exclusives, and I used one of your references for that. I actually showed the other day a video of me on Saltiest Gaming's podcast where I broke it all down, all these multiplayer IPs in the works and shooters in the works, right? Sony have 5 or 6 at least shooters in the works, and from Deviation, from Firesprite, from Firewalk. I'm not sure if Firewalk are working on the shooter. I know that
it's a multiplayer IP, that one. So
yeah. But whilst they're working on half a dozen multiplayer exclusives right now, and God knows what else for 23, 24, and 25, by 25, maybe an exclusive Activision IP will be announced for Xbox, or it'll just be another Call of Duty. But either way, for Microsoft as a company, it's good money. But for you and me, for gamers, it's not really that impactful. It's yet another long-ass wait with very limited payoff. And that's kind of my thoughts summarised. I don't know why I keep referring to that paragraph, because it really does summarise my thoughts. Like, Microsoft have given Sony so much leverage here, not because what they've done isn't impactful. It is, but whilst Microsoft are trying to make all of that substantiate itself into something tangible for you and me, for gamers, which is the only thing to generate gaming mindshare. Clearly, the price of renting games isn't cutting it for them. 8 million since January 2021, right? 8 million have joined Game Pass since January 2021. We're now in 2022. It's not quite cutting it it's not just how cheap can you game. It's what games are on offer, right? And the thing with that, Willie, like that people laugh at the $70 what they charge is like that model is there for a reason. Like, gamers don't like change, so that's really obvious. Like, you look at even the physical to digital. Like, physical's still here. Like, on PC is a different story. Like, it's 99% digital, but on like console, like, it's still here. Like, that shows you like the model. It doesn't change very often. Like, what Microsoft are doing, like, even from this deal, is trying to force the industry into a service-based industry, and that doesn't happen like over 5 years, over 10 years. Look at Netflix. They're the largest subscriber base, and they're still not profitable, and they've got 222 million around there, and it's taken them that long. So, like, yeah.
Imagine the video game industry. That's not going to happen in 10 years, or, well, I don't see it. Like, obviously we have that data, so even the history tells us that's not going to happen within 10 years, even 15.
Go for it, Faulkner.
I was reading through their 2021 financial statements yesterday. It's fucking concerning with Netflix.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's 222 million subscribers for that piss poor performance that they shelled out. The shares are tanking. I shouldn't say they're tanking. They've dropped a huge amount of value.
Huge.
And they can't raise any more money through debt because they're well over the leverage already. So what they had been doing was debt to equity swaps to try and encourage their shareholders to be more invested in the company, and basically writing off loans that they had with key shareholders. All that does is dilute the earnings per share, and the market investors don't like that at all. Like, it was, Netflix was supposed, the streaming service was supposed to be the death of going to the movies. It was supposed to be the death of the television networks. It's supposed to be the death of everything else. It hasn't happened. Been told that for 10 years. Everyone says, it's cloud streaming and Game Pass is the future of gaming. I've heard that for a decade. I've been hearing that stuff since before they brought it out. Game streaming and this, game streaming that. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. Like, the second that the first comment after online multiplayers came out was, this is the future of gaming and that's all they're going to be. Well, I beg to differ, because currently, and still, the company that's the smallest of the big four, effectively, if you look at PlayStation, the smallest of the big four in terms of manpower, output, like whatever you want to gauge it on, is currently leading the market again, because they know how to do it. And so Call of Duty, how much does Call of Duty, how much does Call of Duty rely on PlayStation to actually get those numbers?
Exactly.
And that's a metric that nobody has discussed yet. Call of Duty make massive sales on PlayStation, but why? Is it because of the quality of the game? Or is it the nostalgia of the game? Or is it the player base and that's where they're set up? Or how much does PlayStation actually make people want to buy the next version of this game? I'll put my hand up and say, I haven't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare. And that was on previous consoles. I played that game and I was out then. And I it's just not for me. I don't like first-person shooters. I just never have. And I
love me a Killzone, bro. I love me a Killzone, I'm not going to lie. But
I've played the Killzones and all that, and I got to Modern Warfare late. Like, it wasn't when it launched. But I haven't played a first-person shooter since... I can't remember.
Yeah.
See, I got my PlayStation 4 in 2015, I think it was. I haven't played a first-person shooter on a PlayStation 4. It's just not my cup of tea. But I haven't seen a huge amount of change between Modern Warfare and the last one, other than the graphics have improved a bit and the gameplay is still very much the same. But I know I'm shitting on it, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak ill of it, but my point is this. Without the DualSense and without all the 3D audio and all the bells and whistles of immersion that are coming with the PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2 and all of that, you take away that immersion from playing the game and just put it on Xbox with a controller that's got half-ass haptics on it at best, where's the evolution there? Like... You don't get that sense with the triggers, and you don't get that sense with all the rest of it. Like, how much of this game relies on PlayStation? It's been in decline for a while, and that's either an aging out player base or something like that. Xbox has got to figure out how the hell they get their service to bring more people into the industry, on the consumer side, because all of us that are in here already, we've already sort of staked our markers to which ones we like, which ones we don't like, which ones we're going to be involved in. The entire gaming community is aging. Xbox is aging at a huge rate faster than PlayStation and Nintendo. Nintendo's bringing in the younger generation because of the Switch and their cute and cuddly games that they have. And then they leverage off that and move over to Sony, because that's where the natural evolution for games and desire when they hit their older teenage years is.
Yeah.
Good mate of mine's son loves playing Call of Duty, but he's not going to buy an Xbox to do it.
I want to read Aaron's message on you here in the chat. Shout out to Aaron. Great that you're here, buddy. Don't forget, people are already leaving Activision to join Sony, so things are going to be interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, Zuby, you're probably more queued up on this than most.
So, like, especially from like Raven and Blizzard. So, like, I think that's where the like worst of the allegations have happened. Like, it
I know
is
Raven
really sad,
devs moved over to Haven, right? And Haven is primarily funded by Sony.
I think most
exclusively.
most went to Sony Santa Monica because that's like in the same area. So and plus also don't forget some of the roles are like remote as well now. So like a lot of like the Deviation games is like remote. So that's why like is opening up new technologies like
So this, to summarize, if either of you could summarize this, because I'd love to know, because I'm kind of like most gamers, I'm not as queued up on this as you guys. I'm just the host, which is the point. That's the point of my channel. It's to bring in the brains and the people with knowledge to give us the unadulterated truth and the unadulterated candidity of just saying it as they either, whether it's an opinion or whether it's actual facts that you know. It's just great to hear from you guys the things that are really going on. But how will Sony counter this? Because has this forced Sony's hand at least to a degree? Are they going to counter this with do you think this Deviation FPS that they're working on, which is said to be really ambitious, ex-Call of Duty devs, ex-Halo devs, or even this Fire Sprite shooter that they're working on, which is said to be groundbreaking according to them. And how big is Fire Sprite now? 400, is it?
I believe it's over 300 for sure.
300, and I know Naughty Dog are working on a multiplayer game, which is inevitably a shooter in some capacity, and that's 600 people now are working there at Naughty Dog. So how do you think, with all of this in mind, Sony had their hands forced to a degree, and how do you think their hands are forced, and will they respond now?
I just wanted to clarify, are you talking about the acquisition in total, or just the Call of Duty?
Mostly Call of Duty, but because
that's cool.
That's kind of the main. Let's face it, right? Let's face it. With PlayStation, the Diablo hasn't exactly been a major staple, right?
That's a PC game.
It's a PC game.
World of Warcraft PC game.
Exactly.
It has a huge fan base, but those fans have been playing that shit on PC for years. And I mean, it's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic IP. But I mean, most people on PlayStation are feeling the Call of Duty, right? So So and that we just said then ties back into the point we made earlier. If the gamer, the consumers are set up on a platform, and then all of a sudden you strip that things off them and tell them they have to go to a different platform to enjoy it. That shit doesn't work these days. They'll just not do it. They'll find something else to fill the void because they'll get something else that's similar. And that will lead into my answer.
Yeah, I'm proof of that. Go on.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I suppose a good example. Question was, should Sony respond as their hand been forced, etc., etc.?
Are Sony going to respond? If so, how? And has their hand actually been forced for them to respond somehow?
Yeah. So, Sony already had a very aggressive plan in place for their next couple of years outlook, right? You look at their forecasts and stuff that's in the notes to their financial statements, and PlayStation division especially is flagging some pretty substantial stuff coming down the pipeline. We've got PSVR 2.
It just hit 0 kilobytes then for a brief moment. For those who missed what he just said, he said that Sony have some pretty substantial stuff in the pipeline. Yeah,
that's pretty much all I said. So they got PSVR 2, which has been announced. They said they're working on 25 brand new. There's 25 new games and over half are brand new IPs. We've also had it confirmed at the CES that they've got 17 first-party, I think it was 17 first-party dev houses working on brand new games. You've got all these other we've got all these other partnerships that they've arranged with. We know that they've got stuff with Square Enix and with Capcom and with other Japanese developers and publishers. We know that they're heavily investing into China. We've got China Hero Project. We've seen bugger all of what's coming out of there. Like, it's got some big stuff. You talk to Akira about it, he'll chew your ear off. It's massive what's coming out of China Hero Project. You've got South Korea. You've got the expansions in Europe. They've got a couple of expansion plans for the US, but I mean, the US market's pretty much saturated and it's tapping out as it is now. There's not a huge amount of growth potential in that market. So PlayStation's looking at China, India, developing parts of Asia and the Middle East, developing parts of Eastern Europe. They've got some strategies in place to really get stuck into those. And that's where their growth is focused, and that's where their really aggressive and really powerful plan that they had is already geared up for that. So I don't think their hand's been forced. They're certainly not going to have a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, this Activision announcement, you know, Call of Duty's probably going to leave PlayStation in 3 years.
I never thought like knee-jerk. I don't mean that. I don't mean like panic. I mean, has Sony... Do you think this will have made Sony acknowledge, take notice, and I don't know, maybe it motivate them even more somehow? Or, I mean, Technoir, shout out to him in the chat. He's definitely raised some amazing facts here that apparently, according to him, a load of people have left Activision and also gone to Deviation, and that's why they're opening up a second studio. So it might be by proxy that you know.
And Wooly, these people, the ones I posted today, that this was before the announcement. So they left before the announcement.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So guys, I mean, when you think about it, even if it's by proxy, by default, because of the status quo and what Microsoft have done, Sony are naturally benefiting. That's one impact, because more devs are flocking to you. I know it's ironic, but pardon the pun, like the haven that is Sony, you know, in terms of supporting dev culture and what devs really want, and that's to make a freaking phenomenal game with loads of support and sell it, right?
Yeah, sell it. That's right. Look, carry on. You're right. No, you're exactly right, and that was the point that I was working up to. Sony's plan is organic growth of the industry. They are not keen on inorganic growth, but they know that they had to do it, and it's been factored into their plans. Now, it may mean that Sony get to accelerate some of those plans, that they'll have to bring them forward and do them sooner, depending on if, buts, whens, and maybes. It may mean that China Hero Project all of a sudden goes from Sony stumping up the cash and giving a lot of the guidance, and they're free to put it on whatever platform they want. It might just be, well, sorry guys, you've got to make it for PC and PlayStation, but it's got to stay console exclusive to us, or it's can't go into a streaming service outside of China for the first 2 years, or we get a kickback of something like that. It could be multiple different things in that respect. Like you said, it's flagging it years out. Sony's got plenty of time to get their shit together and to respond to it. I think they responded well when they put out the statement saying, we expect contracts to be honoured, because not having seen it, but having an idea about how those sort of exclusive deal contracts are built, if Microsoft tried to pull the pin on Call of Duty and yank it off PlayStation as soon as the deal goes through, before the contract expires, they'll have to pay Sony whatever the costs are that have been sunk into that particular game release. They'll have to pay an exit clause. They'll have to pay loss of revenue over a certain period of time. They'll have all these other costs and penalties and fines they'll have to pay for. For a game that generates $500 million in revenue, and Sony only has to plug a $200 million hole each year in terms of net revenue out of it. Microsoft could end up having to pay Sony $3 or $4 billion just to get out of that contract. So the incentive's there for them to not do it. If they did pull out of it, Sony's not exactly going to be screaming that they've lost all this cash. and then they can take that money and they can wisely invest it in other places to organically grow. Like at one this morning, the guy from Sega is now working at NetEase. NetEase set him up with his own studio. He's got 8 or 10 blokes there with him that worked with him at Sega and RGG, and he's now got some creative freedom to go and do what he likes. Well, I don't think Xbox is going to be in a hurry to run over there and do a deal with him, but Sony sure as hell could stump up and say, hey, when you do this game, give us a look at it, and if we like it, it looks really good, we might do a deal with NetEase and say, well, we'll do the distribution solely on PlayStation. Don't worry about doing anyone else. Here's a bit of money and let's go. And then there's another game. PlayStation's got NetEase, Tencent, Embraer Group, Take-Two. They're the other ones that Sony needs to have their partnerships rock solid with. If they can maintain solid partnerships with those guys and they all work together, well, Activision going to, and Call of Duty specifically going to Xbox, like the time that PlayStation has to react is insane, and the deal might not even go through yet, but you know, they've pretty much put a nail in the coffin of PlayStation cutting another one of those deals to do Call of Duty. Even if the deal goes through, I don't think PlayStation will risk it again. I think they'll move on, and they've got plenty of time to do it.
Wow. Yeah, this gameplay just isn't working, guys. I don't know what's going on. It used to run fine until like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and now I'm having serious issues with the lag. I do apologise to everyone. Well,
is that what gameplay is running? Is that Call of Duty? Is that
it was
Battlefield?
Battlefield 2042. But I've just hit it because it's just, for whatever reason, guys, my screen capture is just, it's messing up. It's such a I don't know what's going on with it. It's really frustrating. I'll keep trying to figure it out. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Zuby, about yeah, go for it.
Yeah, is like I don't think Sony's hands forced, like David said as well. They have a plan, like they have these strategy plans, marketing plans. Sony's never been like a reaction to the market like straight away. Like I've said this, I think, on Sunday or one of your other podcasts. Like Sony are very precise. Like whatever they do is pinpoint, is an arrow. Like they know where to hit and where to hit it. So in terms of that, like I don't think like Sony would respond like that. But in terms of like the revenue, I said like that would impact Sony. But again, like you said, Wooly, they've got time to respond. So like even like Sony is so smart, like to partner with these Call of Duty guys. Like I saw like David Anthony, him leave, and I was shocked. Like he made zombies like in Call of Duty World at War. Like that mode was so good because of him, and now he's working for Sony. So like that should tell you so much. Like these are talented people at Deviation Games. Even Firewalk, like they got Call of Duty devs as well. They got Bungie devs. So like the industry, like I said, like there's loads of talent, but there's above like world class talent, and that's the talent Sony goes for. And like Sony, if you work for a Sony studio, like how many people have said it? Like it's the Sony way. Is a level above. Like that's one thing about Sony. They always aim for quality, and like I said, like I have no doubt in my mind, like Sony will be fine from this, even if it gets removed. Even if they don't, they have time to plan. Like they're so smart. They've partnered with three industry recognized people. Like I know Firewalk doesn't, but there's Call of Duty and Bungie devs there. Then you got Jade Raymond, and then you got like David Anthony and the other guy. Like it's so big. Like you got those three, and then to back it up, I haven't spoken about this, but look, like you got a multiplayer project at Sucker Punch. You got maybe a co-op mode at Insomniac Games. You got definitely a game at Guerrilla. So you're getting a multiplayer game there. You're getting a multiplayer game from Naughty Dog. Online IP from London Studio. Fire Sprite, you're getting AAA action shooter. So who knows? That might be huge. Like we don't know. So like that even internally, externally, like I think Sony will be fine. Like they've got plenty of time to respond. It like Call of Duty removing from the PlayStation Store, it hits Sony. That's a fact. Like Call of Duty, the name having it associated with PlayStation, that is huge. That's a fact. Like being associated with PlayStation and Call of Duty, that's massive. But like I said, Sony has time to respond. They've got plenty of time.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just jump in. A HD gamer, like, how you going, mate? Great to chat to you the other day. Good to see you in the chat there.
Oh, hey, HD gamer. I didn't see him there, my bro.
Yeah, he's picked up a point, and he raised this on Saturday. And we, to be fair, we probably never answered him how he was looking for the answer. And he's asking, does Sony have heaps of time? If Microsoft pick up one or two big publishers, does Sony have the 5+ years? See the benefit of those relationships they are fostering? And that's a very good question. What are the ones is Microsoft going to grab and pull off PlayStation in the future? And has Sony got enough time to cover not just Call of Duty going, but some other big ones going as well? Now, I maintain that their business plan is solid and that they've got a plan in place that they can accelerate to cover off on that loss of revenue. Sony don't care about being number 1, number 2, number 10. Sony was the biggest company in the world at one stage. They are no longer, and they'll never get back there because they just don't operate in that market that would make them the biggest company. But as long as they're hitting their return on investments and as long as they're doing the business the way they want to do business, the shareholders will support them. Microsoft is different. Xbox is dead last in that suite of business lines. It is dead last by a long way, and they've got to pump huge amounts of money into it to get Game Pass to actually do what it needs to do. I still think Sony's got the time, but they don't have the time to sit idle. They need to get a few more third-party deals locked away.
That's
some of the stuff that they're talking about doing, they've got to get it done.
Yeah, that's always been their forte. I do want to just ask you guys about your thoughts whilst we're here. What about all these? Would you call them false equivalencies? I know I would personally, but there's a lot of false equivalencies being pushed in the community on Twitter, especially from the Xbox fanboy community, saying that the fact is that Sony I know have made these third-party deals and made these exclusives, these timed exclusives. I mean, it's the exact same thing as what Microsoft here have done, and so anyone who's concerned is a hypocrite. I've kind of seen this being pushed by even people like Destin from IGN. Personally, I call him Dustbin because he talks trash. But he's been pushing out this idea that, as well as many others, that I mean, for example, his thinking was Housemarque was a support studio for apparently an Xbox, a game that was on Xbox. Firesprite was did work on a game that hit Xbox. So did Insomniac with obviously Sunset Overdrive, and that I don't know if you guys saw the clip.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, how do you guys feel about that take?
Like, where was Dustin when Call of Duty had a huge marketing partnership with Call of Duty, and those maps were only on Call of Duty, and it wasn't for 30 days like Sony did. It was for like 6 months, 3 months. Where were these people then when the Tomb Raider deal?
Oh,
like,
shit.
Where were you then? Like, you have to be straight, bro. Like, you have to even playing field. Like, you got to do a 1-to-1. Like, yeah, these studios made games for Xbox. So did Activision. That's the biggest third-party publisher. Call of Duty is the biggest third-party game in the world on console. Like, taking that away, like, I'm a Call of Duty fan. Does it hurt? Of course it does. I don't care about those fanboys, like, what you think. I'm a Call of Duty fan. That's the perspective I'm seeing. I play on PlayStation. That's my primary platform. There's a bunch of reasons, but taking that away, Like that's so different from like a timed exclusivity deal. That's taking the publisher and the IP
Big
and the
facts.
talent away from the platform. That
Zuby
you
preaching, bro. Zuby's
Bro.
preaching.
when you do this type of stuff, you have to have the facts there, and you cannot be a fanboy and be like in a tunnel vision. You have to be
Echo
fair.
chambers,
You have
bro.
yeah, you have to. Like, where were these people? That's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen it. Tomb Raider, IP that's associated with PlayStation. Come on, bro. Like, that IP has always been associated with Tomb Raider. To see it go to another platform for like a year, come on. Where were you then? Titanfall, fair enough. That's a timed exclusivity. Whatever. It was permanent. Then you had PUBG again. Like, there's so many different. You can't just say, oh look, they made Xbox games and you're taking them away. If you're gonna compare that, Sony acquired only 7 studios since 2018, so there's a difference. And
Yeah.
Xbox,
I've acquired over 30, right?
like, yeah, exactly. Like, who's gobbling up who? Like, you have to be fair and
He
concise.
used that term. He said Sony have been gobbling up studios, and yeah, I'm sorry,
That's not
but
true.
they
true.
they've gobbled up 7 small studios that are primarily have done first party games with Sony. They've done a handful. They've helped on a handful of like, they've either been support studios on a handful of Xbox games, or they've done they've worked as like.
Yes.
Insomniac has done 1 out of 30 games that they've done that was on Xbox, an Xbox exclusive, even though 95% of the games that they've done have been PlayStation exclusives. And it's like, you cannot claim that suddenly because that 5% is an Xbox game, that studio is a third party studio that Sony have gobbled up. Look at the history of these studios. Look what they've worked on and what they've done. I mean, and then he uses support studios as an argument, like Visual Arts. They've, my bro, like, these support studios didn't just work on Halo. They've worked on God of War 2018. I mean, Valkyrie, as an example, they worked on God of War 2018, and Sony bought them. But they're a support studio, bro. They're not even the dominant studio making the freaking game. So.
Exactly.
And he's saying, he's using these examples in an attempt to almost, like, I don't know, justify the purchasing of 30 studios in 2 swift acquisitions.
I just don't understand. Like, you have to, you take the fanboy out of it, take your emotion out of it, see it as it is, put it on a paper, and you can see. Like, you're just lying to yourself. Like, I don't personally understand it. Like, like I said, I ain't afraid to say that I play on PlayStation. That's my platform. Like, I play on there, simple as. Like, you have to be objective about it. You can't say, like, this is happening that side, and then you forget what you favor on the other side. Like, I know, like, everyone's opinionated. We can disagree everything, but you have to be honest when you're gonna state these facts. And unfortunately, Dustin, I've got no like quarrels with him or anything, but he's mistaken. Simple as that. There's no shadow of a doubt about it. And then you're forgetting about Indiana Jones as well, like Bethesda. That's a licensed IP. That's not owned by Microsoft.
Isn't that
it's
identical
licensed
to the thing with Spider-Man? Except
Exactly.
Spider-Man is actually partly owned by Sony.
Exactly. You're gonna spend $70 billion. Why don't you license the other IP? There's loads of licensed IP. FIFA license is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Why can't you
It
go
should
there?
be.
Yeah. So why isn't Xbox pushing for that? Like, if
Because they're
PlayStation does it,
fucking lazy.
exactly. Like, that's the only thing I don't get. Like, with Microsoft, like, you got so much money, like you can do it. Like, even David Jaffe said, like, the blueprint is there from Sony. Like, what else do you need? You got the money. That's the only thing I would say. Yeah.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Faulkner.
Yeah. I'm just. Yeah. Fucking.
Go on, mate.
Sorry.
No, go for
I'm
it.
swearing so much. Oh, everyone loves to carry on about this Insomniac thing, right? I just saw it pop up in the chat before, and it drives me fucking crazy. Insomniac partnered with PlayStation to do so many good things, right? So many good things. And then they showed up with Sunset Overdrive. And PlayStation said, you know what? That's probably not something that we would like to be invested in. But good luck if you can sell it to someone else. That shit happens all the time in the gaming industry, right? Someone comes up with an idea, it starts here, it finishes there, it goes everywhere. That's why third-party publishers are so important to the industry. Mm-hmm. Sunset Overdrive releases on Xboxes and Xbox exclusives. Did it sell any good? No. What happened? Insomniac went straight back to PlayStation and said, you know what? You were right. What do you reckon we should do next?
Facts.
And look, PlayStation picked up Insomniac for fuck all. Oh, seriously, they picked up Insomniac for fuck all. 220 odd million is nothing.
It literally cost them the development of a single game to buy Insomniac.
Yeah. And look at what Insomniac's doing now.
Just to quickly piggyback off you, David, like Sean Layden, he worked for Sony
go for
it. So many years, and he said my greatest achievement was acquiring them. So just put that into perspective.
That's
like
freaking nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
An acquisition. Yeah. That should tell you everything. Like Insomniac, I love those guys, man. I've got nothing. Carry on, David.
Yeah. No, but look at what that investment has done and the revenue it is generating. As opposed to Microsoft go out there and go, fuck it, we'll take Activision and we'll strip the guts out of it. And when we bring it into our business plan and our business process, we're going to completely crater all the revenue it is currently doing, just to fill out a service that nobody, and I mean it, nobody wants it. You can't sell Game Pass at 15. We spoke about this yesterday, didn't we, Wooly? I said, how the hell do you sell Game Pass? How do you sell it at $15 a month? You can't.
He put me
the amount of people that are on the $1 deal
and asked me pretend I'm a salesman and I'm trying to sell Game Pass. And my response was, it's very hard to sell something you don't believe in. It's very hard to sell something you don't believe in, and I guess the only way I could sell it is on several factors. One, the person I'm speaking to knows fuck all about gaming, and she has kids who know fuck all about gaming, and she just wants a system that has loads of games for them to play and enjoy, and that's it. And they are happy with loads of games that they just want to play and enjoy, and they're not particularly savvy or knowledgeable about what games are coming out. They don't know about the Horizon Forbidden Wests and the the Spider-Man 2s, the Wolverines, all that shit, the Forspokens. They're not interested in these amazing experiences because they just enjoy just picking up a racing game, maybe FIFA every year, but then just loads of filler to enjoy casually, and I can imagine Game Pass works out great for them, and I would 100% recommend it for families. I recommended it to my brother who has a little kid who's 8 years old. He's not really keen and big into Spider-Man. He's not really much of a fan of that. He's not really a massive fan of... He loves Roblox, right? He loves watching YouTube videos of Roblox and Minecraft. And so I would 100% advocate my brother buying him an Xbox over a PlayStation, because I think, Game Pass would have him happy as Larry. But it's a very specific target audience, in my opinion. For me and you, for gamers who kind of have grown up playing games for decades, I couldn't sell it because I feel like I'd much prefer to say, well, you with PS Plus there's a balance there, right? Because Game Pass is kind of throwing all their eggs into subscription service, whereas with PlayStation, they throw some eggs into a subscription service, and it's really good quality. It gives you... We've just received a banger of a month with Persona Strikers, with Deep Rock Galactic, which is all I'm playing right now. That's all I'm playing. I freaking love that game. And it's a lot of fun with friends. So not only do they kind of appeal to that audience and give you, I could literally say to anyone, if you get a PS5, you get 20 games straight away to enjoy, to ease you into the system, and you get 3-4 additional games this month of high quality, and continue to receive 3 to 4 games each and every month of high quality for the vast majority of times that they're given, for you to enjoy each and every month for £5 a month, and that's all you pay. And with that comes cloud saves and, of course, online play. As well as that, you get all these games that are coming out, which are absolute bangers, and you can choose which one you want to buy if of course you want to buy games. But I'm sorry, this argument that who wants to spend 70 quid on a game, who wants to spend 499 quid on a console? Obviously somebody who wants to buy games. So don't give me that bullshit that people don't want to buy games, when that's the whole freaking reason why they buy the console. And if you're going to cap for a subscription service because that's the be all and end all, I'm sorry, my dudes, but I think it's more because if it's your be all and end all, then I'm afraid, in my opinion, it's more like Microsoft is your be all and end all, and it's more because you're too invested in a corporation, not in games that you actually want to play. I don't know how you can cap for Starfield, a game you've never seen gameplay of, while shitting on God of War Ragnarok when we've actually seen gameplay, or Horizon Forbidden West when we've actually seen gameplay, But anyway, I'll shut up. I sound like a typical any other podcast right now.
No, that's all good, but that highlights exactly the point of why we're having this discussion today. You put Call of Duty exclusively into Game Pass, can you still sell the damn thing? And I sit there and go, well, I don't think you can get the levels that Sony's currently getting with it. So, big risk. And then, to circle that back around to what we were saying about with Destin and trying to keep things like for like. You can't sit there and say that hauling all of that stuff into Game Pass and having Call of Duty as the flagship thing that's coming in, and it's not going to be exclusive for a few years. You can't say that's the same as saying going and buying Insomniac or getting Firesprite or stuff like that. We have no idea what Firesprite is building. We've got to know. Just that we have no idea. We know whatever's coming out of Firesprite's going to be well polished. It's going to play well. It's not going to hit the market if it's going to be rubbish, right? Mm-hmm. We know the quality will be there. We know that the commitment's there to build it. We know they've got the ability and the expertise. We have an idea about what kind of game it's going to be. But we have no idea what it is, to be honest, do we? We just know that we can bank on it's going to be decent. And it's probably going to show up in about 2 years' time. We're going to get a good first look at it, yeah?
Yep.
They've been working on it for a little while. It's not that far away. But to say that, they snatched up Firesprite and they took all that stuff off the market because Firesprite was working on Xbox games. Like, Firesprite were working as a support studio when Xbox's main studios couldn't get their shit together, so they had to farm it out to third parties to help them out. These guys helped it out to get a game, and to be honest, they probably should have given the whole freaking thing to them to do it. But they helped out, did what they were contracted to do, and that's great. But Firesprite were tired of being a contracted support studio. Sony gave them the opportunity to become a frontline development studio.
And
how is that the same as, how can you say that what Firesprite's acquisition is taking stuff away from the market when there's no IP there to take away?
Exactly.
These people, how the fuck do these people come to these conclusions? They're like, are they high or something? It's so far removed from being anything comparable. Exactly. It drives me up the fucking wall.
Go on, Zuby. That was hilarious.
I'm not sure about Firesprite, but each one of those acquisitions, and Insomniac had Song of Deep and Sunset Overdrive. That's the only IPs Sony acquired. So that tells you Sony's going for talent and they're not taking for IP. That should tell you everything you need to know about.
Repeat that, Zuby. So the only IP Sony have taken from Xbox are
Sunset Overdrive because they're independent.
With it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then Song of Deep, which is Insomniac's VR game, and I'm not sure about Fire Sprite, but Bluepoint had no IP. Nixis was a third-party support team. They didn't have no IP. Like, this is what I mean. You can't say, and there's a difference between a publisher and an independent game developer. There's a huge gulfing difference. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand that.
Pacific Ocean size golfing difference. Like, it's fucking stupid.
That was so brilliantly put. And just think about that, guys. Song of Deep, a VR game. Xbox doesn't even do VR, right? And Sunset Overdrive. Literally, that's all that's been taken away, potentially, with these acquisitions from Sony.
And yet, HD Gamer raised a good point. Sorry.
Go on. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. HD Gamer just asked a question. What about Housemarque? Housemarque's probably the one that had the most IP, but I don't recall any of it being on Xbox.
They've all been on PlayStation.
No. Stardust, it might have been, but the rest is all published, most likely, I believe.
As a PlayStation exclusive.
Yep.
Yeah, so Stardust HD, which was a port, right, to Xbox, if it was on Xbox.
Yep.
So literally, I mean, disingenuous. The community, bro, they reach for the stars. Not just the community, these professionals who should know better.
That's the thing. Like, this is your job, and like you're not doing it properly. So you, like I said, you got to be fair. That's all I'm gonna say.
I call them professionals, but I mean, freaking hell.
Paid color commentators at best. Their integrity is completely shot when they do shit like that. Destin's the senior executive in charge of video development or something like that at IGN. How could someone get on their personal channel, public face of a company, say stupid shit like that, and then have all these crony followers out there in social media land just preaching it like it's gospel? Fact checks nothing, gives you no numbers or anything to work with. He doesn't give you any data to work with because he knows he'll be disproven. And then carries on like a pork chop, promoting Game Pass and shit like that, and claims himself to be an unbiased media presentation.
Oh my!
How has he not been reported? How has he not been reported to be sorted out by the media commissioning or something like that? If he did that shit here in Australia, he would have been dragged into court by now.
Doesn't he work for IGN? This guy still?
He's a senior executive at IGN.
My God. I mean, what? I just can't get my head right. Like, watch this shit. Just listen to this, guys. It's freaking crazy.
This entire last year, and for even longer than that, Sony has been gobbling up companies to make exclusive games and properties to them under the guise that they were being fostered and given creative freedom to build whatever their heart desires. Sony bought 5 studios last year. Studios that worked on and made Xbox games at one time. Valkyrie had helped on Halo Infinite,
Support
Forza,
Studio,
State of Decay 2, and now they only do Sony games. Nixies worked on the Tomb Raider games, Deus Ex and Avengers, now only Sony games. Firespite worked on The Persistence, which released on Xbox, now only Sony games. And even Bluepoint, yes, the creators of the recent remake Demon's Souls, worked on Metal Gear for the 360 and Titanfall for the 360, now only Sony. Even Housemarque worked on Angry Birds for the 360 back in 2012 and Outland, now only Sony games.
I mean, he lists off support studios which supported the main studios in their development, and ports, multi-plat games from the 360 era, and he says let's stop the nonsense. How could the dude write a freaking script and read it? You could clearly see he was reading it and not think through what he actually wrote. I mean, he premeditated this shit that he was saying.
Yeah. Audit his books and see how many checks he's getting from somewhere else, because that's just rubbish. That's absolute garbage, that. And he's he says don't spruik the console wars, and he comes up with shit like that, doesn't substantiate it, and then cries foul when people call him out
Gobbling
on it.
up. He really freaking said that, in contrast to 30 studios which have been acquired in the last 2 years by Microsoft. I would just...
Not forgetting the biggest third-party publisher. You have to put that into perspective. That's a huge market. Like Activision holds. Like even from mobile, like King, Blizzard, Activision is really like 3 companies.
Yeah, it really is.
It's huge what they've hauled in there. But yeah, sorry. I'll calm down. I'll take a breath now. I'll calm down a little bit.
Yeah, Wooly, just to confirm, like Insomniac had 3 IPs: Song of Deep, Sunset Override, Stormland, and they had some mobile games. So they own 3 IPs and Housemarque, Next Machina. The rest of the acquisition, they had no IPs.
I mean, it's hardly like taking freaking Call of Duty, is it? Oh my days! I mean, most of these games were PlayStation exclusives anyway.
Exactly, and even if so, like they had a third-party publisher like Housemarque. They had Ubisoft publish a game, Activision publish a game, so it wasn't their IP. It was just an independent developer, so nothing was taken from Xbox platform. Like IP is the valuable thing. Like if Sony acquired like a third party publisher, he could have had something there, but he doesn't. Like the acquisitions, no IP was taken except for the ones I mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be repeating myself if I keep on it, but he can go fuck himself.
There's just too many facts on this show tonight. So guys, I respect your time and I don't want to keep you all night, but I'm looking at these notes. We've covered, well, how does Xbox make money from this? How will they? Is it all hinging on the fact that they hope people subscribe to Game Pass, more people, because of this? Is that literally all this hinges on? That's the be all and end all?
Well, that seems to be what it is. It's the big... Bethesda was the purchase where they went, hey, look at us. And it didn't get them even close to catching up. And that was what it was touted by all these experts in the media, that the Bethesda acquisition is for Microsoft to make up ground because they just don't have the time to develop like Sony does. Yeah. And 2 years later, they haven't made a dent. And I say that, like, people say, but they went from 17 to 25 million subscribers and they've got all these new IPs and they've got all these IPs and wait to see what's coming, Like, their financial status is no better now than it was 3 years ago, and they've spent nearly $100 billion. They still can't get a game out the pipeline that's any good. They've got all this IP now that just sits and does nothing. They've got huge amounts of costs associated with letting these people do what they want to do, but they still can't catch up. Even with this Activision acquisition going through, they're still going to be third at best behind Tencent and Sony in terms of revenue generation. Mm-hmm. And Tencent and Sony are having a good argument at the moment as to who should be first. But those two are happy to work with each other. Even though one's Chinese, one's Japanese, they're very happy to work with each other and shut other ones out. Not shut other ones out. That's not the best way of putting it. They're happy to work with each other to grow the industry to how they see the industry should be. And you know, it's not going to be the end of it. Microsoft will have another crack at a couple more because they need to fill out their Game Pass subscription, because if they won't accept defeat and switch back to the same business model that Sony and say PlayStation and Nintendo and Tencent and NetEase and all the other ones are using, which is to actually sell games and not worry about a day and date subscription service. Microsoft seem hell-bent on getting this thing to work. Then they're going to have to put some more stuff in there, and they're going to have to churn out almost a new game a week sort of thing. We're talking 40 to 50 games a year out of their first-party stables. So they're a long way from being able to do that. Mm-hmm. And the quality is going to be crap. So, you know, it's going to widen the gulf between Microsoft's quality of games,
there is a way,
Microsoft's offering of games, you know.
There is a way for them to make money even if Game Pass failed, right? And but very much hinges on whether they have the actual brains to do this. you mentioned you mentioned the strategy with regards to. I mean, I think we can all agree that. What's her name now? The
Sarah Bond.
Sarah Bond, that's the one. If Sarah Bond was in charge, I'm pretty sure this would be the strategy anyway. In all honesty,
Yeah.
because she's a clever girl with a good noggin on her shoulders who seems to know business better than Phil Spencer actually does. But what would be the alternative to Game Pass?
Just if you don't mind me, Willie, just respond to what you said. So about the Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I see it is like, first of all, Microsoft's getting a lot out of like the Activision Blizzard deal. Like you get King, Candy Crush is like top 5 in the charts all the time, worldwide. So like that King. Like development team is huge in my opinion. Like that puts them into like the mobile space, so you do get a lot from there, like that stuff. And obviously the Call of Duty IP is the biggest for me out of all Activision Blizzard. But again, like in terms of like the Game Pass and all that situation, in my opinion, like people, if like acquiring their strategies to acquire these third-party developers, but the thing is, like, this third-party content is either got deals with the PlayStation already that you can't get out of, or those games are available on PlayStation or on PC. Like, the whole point of a service is to have that exclusive content that's only on Game Pass. This is what people don't realize. Like, yeah, Game Pass will grow. It is growing, like 5 million, fair enough, but to go, like Jez said this as well, like what's that point where Satya says, oh, this is the level I want by this time? Like, where will it be without the window? What I'm saying is, like, you have to have that content there that's not available on PlayStation, that's not available on Nintendo. Like, even like you saw deals like the Outriders, MLB The Show, MLB The Show, like, it had 2 million players on PlayStation. It had another 2 million players on Game Pass. Like, that doesn't move the needle. That doesn't move, like, gets you more subscribers. You have to have that original content that's only on that service, not available elsewhere, and that's how the Game Pass accelerates. If that doesn't happen, like, the strategy now is to buy third-party developers. Like, buying Activision Blizzard, it doesn't do anything now. Call of Duty is still available on PlayStation. It doesn't change mindshare. It doesn't change your subscriber base. It doesn't switch over players.
Big facts.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
Like, if you see Netflix,
it's all long term. It's all business orientated benefits that they're looking at, and it feels to me like the consumer mindshare is an afterthought. Like, what are they getting right now from this? Here, Xbox. I literally saw. I think it's Post Up. I mean, he was literally laughing till he was crying, rolling around in his chair, absolutely belated over this. Not belated. What's the word? Overjoyed with this. Elated. Yeah. Absolutely elated, overjoyed, and almost in tears over this acquisition, Call of Duty being removed from PlayStation. But God bless him, right? And it's not removed from PlayStation right now. There's contractual agreements that need to be honoured, and right now he has no new games to enjoy right now from Xbox. Why is he so happy? To me, it just doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, I mean, just round the corner, we're getting Horizon Forbidden West, we're getting Sifu, then we're getting Forspoken, then we're getting in March. It's just been revealed, Ghostwire Tokyo. I can't wait to see more of that. I'm really excited to actually see. I'm surprised that that's been. That release date's been leaked when it's we've not really seen much gameplay, but nevertheless, Ghostwire Tokyo, and of course Sifu, Gran Turismo 7. This is within the next 2 months, fam. And I'm go on. Sorry.
Just to finish off my point, and then I'll let you talk.
Go for it.
Yeah, even if you just look at the Netflix model, like, I'm sorry to say, but they may not make money, but it's perfected. Like that model is perfected.
It really is.
I'm sorry, why have they got that many subscribers? Like I said, the most subscribed service in the world, like 220 million, is no easy feat. So like they have that original Netflix original content that's only available on there. Yeah, you can say about the quality, but they do have hits. Stranger Things, Squid Game, Witcher. Like the content is there. That's the thing, and it's not only there. Jezza pointed to this as well. Like he said about like content hitting every so often. Even if you look at like the technology sector, like see like if Samsung miss like the next iteration of their phone, if they miss that target, that's a whole lot of mind share gone. No one cares about it. That's the thing. You have to have that mind share. So what that means is you have to have that content continually flowing in, month after month after month after month.
Competence.
Only available on your service. Otherwise, those numbers will never ever go up.
That's very good.
That's all I'll say.
Spot on. Is there anything else you guys want to emphasize, touch on, summarize? There is so much to this. It's almost painful, right? I feel like you do. I'm overwhelmed with. There is so much to this to discuss. You'd need a whole series of these to do it justice.
Yep. I'll let Zuby answer first. I'm just reading some notes.
It's literally got to that point. Let me have a look whilst you guys are thinking. Let me have a look at some of these points in the chat.
Sorry. I'll just let you. I got to go in about 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah. We're closing this up anyway in the next 20.
Cool. So, Zuby, do you want to just run with me on a quick 2-minute chat about Sarah Bond taking over Xbox?
That's a great thing. Yeah.
No problem.
Who is Sarah Bond? Tell us.
Sarah Bond is currently the VP of Xbox content and services. She reports to Phil Spencer, Phil's the boss, is the vice president of Microsoft Gaming. So Phil oversees ZeniMax, Microsoft Gaming, and like the gaming store and for PC and Xbox. Sarah's only involved in Xbox pretty much. Phil's got a degree in network engineering or something like that. Sarah's got I think she's got a bachelor's. She got her business degree from, I think it was Stanford, and she's got a master's degree from Harvard. So Sarah Bond has got some of the most sought after business education you can get on the planet. And I feel like she's being wasted away with what she's doing. She could go toe-to-toe with Jim Ryan and all the rest of them on any given day in terms of doing business deals and making sure the industry grows and works well. Phil seems to be just throwing money at stuff because he couldn't be bothered putting in the effort to build it. He just wants to buy it. Sarah would be the opposite. She would see the value in Xbox and actually realise the value. Like I said before, this acquisition of Activision Blizzard, they're going to piss so much revenue up the wall because they're just going to lock it behind Game Pass and hope and pray that the player base comes over with it.
Exactly.
And it ain't going to happen. They're not going to get the level that they need. Whereas Sarah, I genuinely believe there's someone like Sarah was involved in running the thing. Just from a pure business sense, she would look at it and go, there's no way we can leave that much money on the table. We've got to do find a better way of doing it. I think when Sony released their, call it Spartacus, and it's going to be very similar to like what Nintendo Online is, they're not going to do day and date new games. It'll all be for previous generations and back compat sort of nostalgic hits, right? But it's not going to be their main driver. Sony are still going to sell games. They're still going to sell games. They're still going to make games. They're going to grow by, increasing the size of the industry to sell more games. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Phil's got that capability and mindset. I still think he's leaning on Daddy, saying, "I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. I want to buy all these IPs because I couldn't be bothered building them myself." Whereas Sarah's would be the opposite. Just from what she does at Xbox already, you can see that she's trying to make the pie bigger for everybody to get more of a share. Because when the whole industry grows, everybody just naturally makes more money out of it. And she seems to be able to get the best return for an investment with a lot of the deals that she's doing. I wish that she was in charge of Xbox, because my biggest gripe with Xbox has always been they piss so much money up the wall and they leave so much value behind, and they are risking that thing falling over every single day.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong, brother.
You have any thoughts on that one, Zuby, or am I alone in that one?
I didn't know her history, but that's just insane. Like, she should be a CEO.
Should be.
Talk about.
Well, she was a CEO of a telecommunications company that was on the brink of going bankrupt, and she turned him into a profitable company inside of 2 years.
Oh shit! Wow.
In the telecommunications market in America, that is nuts.
Yeah, that's wow. And Phil thought, let's hire her instead of I need her as my boss. I mean,
well, Phil was probably thinking self-preservation. If I hire her and put her in a position underneath me, then they can't bring her in to replace me.
Yeah, it's very true.
So, but anyway, sorry, Zuby, did you have any thoughts on?
No.
Do you see that the huge amount of value that they leave on the table with doing shit like this?
Yeah, 100%. Always like the organic growth is so much better. Like, it's tailored to you, and it could work in their favor as well. Like I said, the original content, if they build it like a service-based content, this way they're funneling a third-party developer to fit them, and that's what is this funny thing. That's what Phil Spencer said about Lionhead. Like, we need to adapt to them, not us to adapt to them. But you're gonna make service games, and so it just doesn't really make sense. Like the strategy of Game Pass, like I said, you have to have that model where you have to have that content, that mindshare, month after month. Like, I need to subscribe to this service because it's only on Game Pass. Like, if it's on PlayStation, that will never move the needle. And if Sarah Bond's like that obviously a CV speaks for itself, but maybe she needs to have a shot at Xbox.
I think she'd pursue a different strategy for sure.
Yeah, I just, in the chat's going off here a little bit. I'm not against Xbox. They just have, as a consumer, they've never given me something that I wanted to purchase. So, but as a business, Microsoft as a whole, they've got huge cubic dollars worth of revenue coming in from so many other business lines that Xbox is genuinely dead last in their line of businesses by a long way, and they risk becoming either genuinely either shut down or restricted in what they can do. And Phil seems to be throwing everything at Game Pass and convincing himself at the same time that it's the only thing that's going to work.
Time and time again, advocate the hybrid model that Sony go for. I think Sony are clearly perfecting the hybrid model, and it's clearly the most successful. It's giving people benefits and incentives to subscribe to their subscription service, whilst giving them benefits and incentives to buy their console, whilst also rewarding their purchase of their console. And it feels like Microsoft just cannibalized all their other, I guess you could say, products. For this, like nothing seems to fit together. Why buy an Xbox if you've got day one on PC? Everything's day one on PC. Why? And if you don't have a PC and you do buy an Xbox, then you ain't gonna buy these games if you can get them on Game Pass, right? But at the same time, why would you why would you buy an Xbox if you can play it on your phone and you've got cloud? And I'm thinking to myself, like, Nothing seems to. With PS Plus, it offers remote play, which I know isn't the same as cloud gaming, but is a form of it. It is a version of it, and remote play is dependent on you owning the console. It's also by nature more robust because it's being run through your console at home. So it seems a little bit more stable for whatever reason. But it still requires and depends on you owning that. So it feels like everything kind of falls back on incentivizing the purchase of the product, incentivizing getting into the ecosystem, and keeping you in the ecosystem with rewarding first-party content, whilst they benefit, whilst Sony make the revenue from the subscription base, but also through third-party sales, and that's kind of the bulk of their profits. The exclusives are to bring in newcomers, and with the PC, it's not day and date. They put some games day and date, but they're strategic decisions based on whether it's a multiplayer game or it's a second party title, and that's part of the deal. Or of course, like, they put it on later, and it's usually before the sequel comes out, exclusively on console, on the PlayStation. So by doing that, they're not only double dipping on sales, but they're incentivizing and encouraging people who have played the game on PC to buy a PlayStation to experience the sequel, which is coming out soon after. So it all seems to perfectly go on.
I was going to say, you look at God of War.
Yeah.
They whipped out something that was just 4 years old this year, and they just made another couple of million, tens of millions of dollars out of that thing. They sell another couple of million at $40-50, and bang, there they are. There's half of the. That's the marketing money for Ragnarok covered, easy.
It's already sold 1 million plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought my.
So there's northwards of $50 million in revenue generated right there for probably a $5 million input.
Yeah. Can I ask, CB, before? Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say that's as simple as that.
Awesome. I was going to ask Zuby before we wrap this up, and before I ask you guys your final thoughts. What's your thoughts on this Spartacus? I mean, I've already spent way too much time debunking these absolute. I don't know how to describe them, to be honest. They're like cabbaged donuts because they just do not use their noggins and think and read what's being said. But we know Sony are planning, or it's strongly rumoured that Sony are planning on consolidating PS Plus and PS Now into one subscription service. There's rumoured to be 3 tiers to this, and people are calling it their equivalent to Game Pass, right? I feel that's a very misleading thing because it's not a Game Pass model at all still, right? But I wanted to ask your thoughts on Project Spartacus, debunk any misinformation or misnomers, or just give your own general thoughts on what you think this is. Is it real? Is it happening?
I think you know how I feel about Bloomberg, Wooly. Personally, to me, that site continues to lie. Like, this is the video game journalism like we live in, like 50% yields. It goes on the list, like about Days Gone, how much this site has lied about PlayStation.
They lied recently about PlayStation ending production of PS4s. They never did, and that they planned, they reopened production of PS4s because of a lack of PS5s. It was all a flat out lie.
So so I don't believe like what they say. I just take the information, hold it, and just leave it there, and then when Sony announced their stuff, that's when I believe it. But like personally, I've like posted the job listings of PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus getting a revamp. So we know that as a fact from the job listings I posted. So that's a fact that the PlayStation service is getting a revamp, or something is happening with the service. So
that was juicy, bro. That was juicy.
So I have my own like facts. So I don't believe Bloomberg and everything. So leave that to it is. and second is like Sony knows that about the services. So PlayStation Plus is a huge revenue driver for Sony. Sony know this. So I believe personally that they're going to be aggressive as they can with this service. So does that mean day and day? I don't think so personally,
No.
but that can happen. Could it launch on PC? Possible. Because we know like the trophies is getting expanded. Could be coming to mobile and PC. So Sony Japan is hiring for that role. So all these like options are there. Like I've discussed it as well. Like what tiers they can do. Like platinum, gold, silver, bronze. Like I made a thread about that. Like so how Sony could do it. They could have different tiers. Like with Crunchyroll, Funimation. Yeah, I'll send it to you in a bit.
Yeah.
So they can have that aspect of it. So yeah, like I said, I think Sony know like what services can bring, and PlayStation Plus is a huge driver for PlayStation right now. And every year the PlayStation console has launched is made a loss. Because of PlayStation Plus, partly of the reason. PlayStation hasn't made a loss like last year since PlayStation 5 has launched. So Sony's in a very good position financially, like the whole PlayStation company, everything. Yeah, so like I said, that revamp will happen sooner or later, whether it's this year, next year. Like I personally believe that will happen because of the job list I've seen. So like in terms of misinformation, like I don't know whether to believe Bloomberg. Like that's the only thing. But yeah.
The only time that I've ever seen Bloomberg get stuff right is when they write opinion pieces based on the terrible working conditions of such and such a studio. Like, where's he's got all these insiders that talk about this stuff. They wrote that massive big article about Sony's abandoned independence, and Sony's no good in Japan, and Sony's doing this, and Sony's all these problems. The issue with Days Gone, being scrapped, and got it all completely fucking wrong.
Yeah, David, I'm doing fake air quotes right now. A person familiar to the matter. A person familiar to the matter. Who?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yet his sources. Get this. This is what makes me think he's got zero idea what's going on. He's guessing most of the time. His sources couldn't tell him PSVR 2 was coming at CES. Anyone who read their frickin' financial reports knew something big was coming from PlayStation at CES. Because they'd factored in a massive jump in, and I said it openly. Something's happening in the first quarter that's going to drive demand for PlayStations up, and it's not an increase in console sales because they haven't got the demand there.
There's
major games coming out. Yep, there's major games coming out in the back end of it that are going to offset the losses that they're going to not see because they don't hit 22 million, they only hit 21 million-ish consoles sold. Horizon Forbidden West was already factored in. God of War was already factored in with its push. The only one that was there that had moved in was Forspoken, because Elden Ring and all the other ones and the Paradise Lost Final Fantasy Origins, they'd already been factored in. Something was coming that they hadn't factored in yet, and it was going to cause a massive demand for sales, a massive demand for games. What happens at CES? That was the only time they were going to announce something major. CES comes, bang, this PSVR 2, you beauty, look at the demand for PlayStations again. Through the friggin' roof. And Schreier couldn't even work that out, or whoever it was that wrote it couldn't even work that out, because he's got all these bloody insiders or people in the know, yet he can't tell us when major things are going to happen. Like, what are these guys? Are they kidding themselves? I've never trusted Bloomberg's insider knowledge point, because 90% of it, they don't name anyone and they don't put facts in there. It's all written opinion pieces. Mm-hmm. And he drives me nuts.
Yeah, I've just been.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, same here. I'm right with you there, David. Like, to say a company's got 50% yields. Like, when I read that, I was laughing my head off. I told all my tech friends 50% yields. I was laughing my head off. Like, What company on earth would have 50% yields? Like you told me, not even Microsoft, who's worth 2 point something trillion dollars, would do that.
They would have pulled the handbrake on that production line when they got up to 10%.
Exactly.
As soon as they started building them, and they found early in the piece they were having 10% yield issues, or 10, the impact on yield was more than 10%, they would have stopped production. Mm-hmm. And come on, these engineers that work at Sony that build this shit, high-tech stuff day in, day out.
Day in, day out.
You're going to tell me they got it wrong? No, thank you. You're a journalist. You wouldn't know the fucking clue about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And back to your point, and I'll finish off here. Wooly, you said the misinformation. The misinformation is Bloomberg.
Yeah, facts, bro. I was just looking before. I've just been scrolling whilst you guys have been talking. Zuby, your profile on Twitter, because I'm just showing people, the quality of the content that you put out on here, and there's a reason why you're growing up 1,000 followers a month.
Get on it. Get on it, people. He's
follow this guy.
Really good stuff.
He's a regular source used in Saltiest Gaming's videos. He's a regular source used in pretty much. He's in articles. He's in big time YouTubers who use his source. He use him as a source. So what better thing to do than go to the source himself?
And to be fair, Zuby actually gets credited as the source, which is a big deal these days.
It is. It's because people really respect this guy. I certainly am feeling very honoured that he's with us tonight. So, guys, give Zuby _tech a follow. Go on, Faulkner.
Definitely. Sorry, Wooly, I'm just mindful we've got to wrap this up. Yeah. I just wanted to respond or go with one thing that Zuby was saying before about, Spartacus or Spartan, whatever it's called, the service. There's no, in terms of the day and date or stuff like that, there's no driver that I can see now or in the near future or even the 5-year future where a consumer-based reason is going to force Sony to do day and date. There's no demand from the consumers to change. There's no demand from the industry to change.
Games are selling better than ever.
Sorry?
Their games are selling better than ever. I mean...
there's no indicators from the main drivers that would force Sony to go day and date in any aspect. They won't even go day and date on PC release.
How many copies has God of War sold?
What did you say, Zuby?
Over 20 million, right?
Yeah, on PS4, 19.5, and then on PC is over 1 million.
And this is not including the fact that it was given as a PS Plus game. I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It sold a shit ton. It's 20 million. Spider-Man has sold 20 million.
Yep.
Miles Morales.
7 in the 20 million club.
Beat Call of Duty in the UK sales charts just the other week. A year after it's been released, over a year after it's been out. Games are selling, my guys. Games are selling very, very well. Yeah. So there's no need to change what's working.
Exactly. And that's my point. Everyone who sits there and these commentators and these, I don't even want to call them professional commentators, these clickbait chasing, opinionated, call themselves media journalists, but I got other words that I can't use on this. There's a lot of asterisks involved. They keep banging on that Sony must do this, Sony must respond. Sony doesn't have to do diddly fucking squat until the market that they're servicing says they have to.
Preach.
Big facts.
That's what they care about. They care about the consumer and what the consumer habit is and what the consumer wants. And until the consumer habits change, Sony will keep doing what they're doing.
And they'll keep growing. I mean, they're reaching out to the east. They're snatching up guys. I mean, we could talk about this for hours. They're reaching out to the east and grabbing and locking down talent over there, along with Tencent, alongside Tencent and NetEase. Xbox seem to be completely. It's like they don't even think the east exists. It's crazy. But
Sony wants to grow an industry where Xbox wants to try and own the industry.
Yeah, That's such a... You know what, bro? That is a quote. That is a quote right there. Sony wants to grow the industry. Xbox wants to own the industry. And you could not be more factual about that. Guys, before we go, because I'm conscious that Jez is about to launch his podcast tonight, and I do not ever want to interfere with my fellow brothers' show. It's epic. Definitely jump over to Jez, which he'll be starting shortly. Not just yet. In about 10 minutes, I think. So guys, before we wrap this up, do you guys feel like you've managed to get off at least 50% of what you wanted to talk about tonight? And has it been more good for you guys? Do you feel like this you've been able to get off? Do you feel like you've been able to get off your chest things that you wanted to say? Is there anything else you want to?
I talked about Call of Duty, so that was maybe.
I'm buzzing, bro. I'm buzzing about that.
I thought that was a great chat too. Like that was a conversation that needed to happen about Call of Duty, and I'm glad we got to spend so much time on it. I think we've covered. Well, it'd be too bad if we didn't cover it all because we got to go. But I think we've covered off some pretty key and deeper aspects of the whole thing that need to be discussed. Like I haven't heard anyone else going into the level of detail that we have, and I really super stoked when I got asked to jump on here with Zuby because I really respect the man and what he does, the knowledge he's got, and I was super excited to just talk. It's just good to talk shop with someone who understands what you're talking about. And I don't mean that badly towards anyone else, but like I get cranked up on numbers. Not many people listen.
And Zuby,
it sort of goes
Zuby
over
is
the
one
head
of
a
them
bit.
rare ones that can keep up with numbers. I agree.
He is, and I really appreciate the time and the
Faulkner,
conversation.
let me say something. I've big Zuby up, but it's my turn to big you up, right? Guys, as you've heard tonight, Faulkner, he's very, very good when it comes to his overall perspective of the industry and his numbers. He has a good knowledge also of people within the industry. He knows names, he knows positions, he knows talents. He's planning on starting his own channel soon. I've kind of encouraged him to do that, and he's really considering it, and he's going to do it. I'm sure of it. I'm going to be helping him with that, and it's an absolute freaking honour.
I don't think I have a choice now.
No, he doesn't. And I have no doubt in my mind that he'll start to be viewed very, very quickly as a prime authority. I'm talking Colin Moriarty level, except the difference is David has considerably more talent. And David, when that happens, bro, when your channel is going, get Zuby on as much as possible, because you two know how to hold down a conversation, and you two are fire together. Honestly, # dream team. I'm telling you, right? So definitely consider that. Zuby, keep your eyes on. Keep your awesome eyes on Faulkner, and Faulkner, keep your eyes on Zuby. Chat, follow both of these legends if you don't already. What the fuck are you doing? I love you all. You're absolutely awesome. Give these guys a follow. I've changed Faulkner's name on Discord to David Faulkner, and with his Twitter handle, which is Faulky87, and ZubyTech is on Twitter as he is here, Zuby_tech. Do not miss out on these guys. They're growing, they're getting recognition, and it's a freaking honor to recognize them here tonight on this podcast. So thank you to all you guys.
Honestly, I'd just like to just say this, like, I don't need that praise, like, I'll be honest, like, speaking with you guys, like, David, you're a pleasant guy, like, if I talked over you, I apologize, like, whoever like I talk with, I try to be respectful and everything, but I don't need that praise. Like, honestly, I think you guys are better than me. Like, Wooly, you got your podcast.
I know jack shit David, compared to you. What are you talking about?
David, like, you're amazing. Like, the numbers it's not easy to keep on top of it. So honestly, I feel the opposite. Like, I'm in a better company with you, so it is an honor to talk with you guys. I'll be honest, like, I'm just blessed to, like, I can discuss, like, video games with you guys. So,
hey, brother, you're
honestly, I feel the opposite. Like, I'm not. I feel honored to talk to you, David, and and you, Wooly. So I feel the opposite. So
The
thank you so much.
the humblest insider on the fucking planet. I tell you, Zuby is humility personified, and I love the guy so much. Honestly, I love you, bro. And one last thing, this show hit a record viewing of 81 live viewers at one point tonight. And that's a record. We were 75 last night, the other night on Saturday, which was another record broken. So we've broken another record tonight, boys. Flipping happy days. I know, it's unbelievable. But yeah, thank you to all of you in the chat. You've all been awesome. Please hit that like button if you can before we wrap this up. It means a lot and it goes a long way. Also, do make sure you follow these guys on Twitter. That's where they primarily let their info be known. That is until David's YouTube channel begins. And of course, catch David and Zuby on the Company of Gamers podcast. Zuby is a regular guest. He's not always present, but he is a guest whenever he can make it, and when we have room as for guests on the show. And also David Faulkner, he is actually a panel member on the Company of Gamers podcast, so subscribe to this channel as well, hit that bell. I know I sound like a typical YouTuber, but hey, you gotta respect the hustle, right? And I love all of you. You've all been amazing. Shout out to all of you in the chat. Who are you? Buck Roger, Brian King, Nick, Retro, my boy, gotta get him on again. HD Gamer, my brother HD, Nick, Doomsayers. Oh, by the way, I've got some big news for you all, and I'm going to be announcing it on Twitter very soon. But on Wednesday, we've got a special episode of Company of Gamers podcast, and guess who we've got on? NXG. That's right, we have NX Gamer guesting on the show, and we are going to be picking his brains. We're going to have him talk with us for an hour and a half, and we're going to learn all about him, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So what an absolute honor for this channel and for the panel and for the podcast. You do not want to miss that, fam. So catch us on Wednesday evening with NXG, but until then, stay absolutely awesome, and thank you so much for hanging out with us.